Joining us now on the John Fredericks Radio Network, Louie Gohmert, Republican congressman from the 1st District of Texas. Congressman Gohmert, great to have you with us, sir.
Well, it's great to talk to you again. It's been so long. What's it been, 2 days?
2 days, that's right. We had a chance to chat with each other at the American First Policy's Christmas party the other day where Mike Pence was there. And I always learn so much when I get a few moments of your time, sir, and I appreciate that. We got a lot to talk about today. I know the issue we talked about 2 days ago, I definitely want to get that on the table, the surveillance issue. But, of course, let's start right now with the Trump tax cut. Congressman, what the heck is going on? Now, let's take the child tax credit. How do you go from Senate Bill $2,000, House Bill $1,600 down to $1,100? That is the craziest math I've ever seen.
Yeah, that really is rather strange. How do you compromise outside what either one was pushing for? That's just strange as could be. I don't know. But when it just goes to show, though, when you're in Washington, what we in many parts of the country call common sense becomes sense. There's nothing common about really good, wise sense in Washington. It's just not common. I don't know. I can't explain that one to you.
Well, it's hard to do. The swamp monsters take over. I mean, 1,600, 2,000. I figured, okay, so they're going to compromise probably 1,900. That's what I thought it would be. Now we're getting 1,100. That changes all the tables on this whole thing. But you've got Marco Rubio who flagged it, who said, I don't think so. So hopefully they can get that done. You know, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, Congressman, because we don't know until the negotiations are done what the thing is going to be, right?
Right.
So we can conjecture and spend time, but until we have it, and what the conferees are saying, that it'll be out in the next, couple of days, either this evening or Saturday? Is that my understanding?
That's supposedly. It was supposed to be completely done by tonight so they could get it posted, but we'll see. Hopefully they do. But I tell you what, I really have been so impressed with Kevin Brady as he's gone through the process. The guy, I mean, when I've had major concerns, I've gone to him and he's gone, that's a good point. We'll see if we can't do it. I mean, it's really nice to have somebody that's not trying to pull the wool over your eyes. My years in Congress, you get so used to the way Boehner operated, and it basically, oh, sure, and then you get it, and it's nothing like what he promised. But anyway, that's why I just, like on the child tax credit, that's nothing like we talked about. It's nothing like what we were planning on. So anyway, I know there'll be a lot of people talking to Kevin, and hopefully the Senate will listen to reason on that.
Congressman, let's get to this FBI situation now that's come out where apparently Comey's remarks was taken out of the document and massaged around to make it seem something it's not.
Right.
I mean, is there a credibility issue here, and is it something that House Republicans should take an investigatory look at?
Well, yeah, but it wasn't just massaging Comey's comments. Comey set forth a criminal violation by Hillary Clinton. He laid out a criminal violation. It was there. And then Strzok comes along and changes it so that it's not a criminal violation. So it's not just massaging the words. It's changing what he obviously believed was a crime to something that wasn't a crime before he even talked to her. And, we are all victims of what we've been through in the past. Well, for years, I was a felony judge in Texas. And, I think about jury selection. And if the lawyer for either the prosecution or the defendant had concerns after questioning about one of the potential jurors' fairness, then they would bring them up to the bench. and I would ask them for some questions further, and we would decide if they could be fair. And John, as I look at the comments of these people that were part of the prosecution team, if they were brought before the bench, like I said, normally I would allow further questioning. I would question the lawyer's question, and then I would make a termination. I'm telling you, John, we didn't need any more questions. If I saw the comments that these people had made, I would go, that's okay, counsel. You don't need to ask any further questions. There is no question. This person could never be fair in a million years. They are challenged for cause. They're off the panel. There's no way we're going to let this person get near being part of this case. They are just too blatantly biased. They should be gone. So, I mean, when I think about that kind of standard, just for the juror, I mean, my word, if you had a prosecutor, this was this unfair. We see how grossly unfair they are. You know, even to the point, not just of being biased, but wanting to take out a presidential candidate, take out if oh my gosh, you know, I'm in a great position, or you're in a great position, Stark, to take this person out in case, you know, he did get through. We're talking about something far beyond being unfair. We're talking about, you know, plotting against the country.
So what's the recourse here, Congressman Louie Gohmert? We just sit around and do nothing?
Yeah, no, we don't have to sit around. It's what some of us have been saying for many months now since this stuff started coming out. And the recourse is, number one, Rosenstein needs to remove Mueller. It was a huge mistake. But the fact that Rosenstein, as he testified in front of us in Judiciary this week, that he sees no problem, he thinks it's great, it says volumes about his blindness. Just too close to these guys. He can't see the problems. My word, he should have been the one coming to us saying, I am so sorry. I want to apologize. I thought that I had put together a team that would be, you know, good, would be outside the mainstream of the normal Justice Department people that might have a slant against Trump and for Hillary. But what we ended up with was the most elitist, anti-Trump, pro-Hillary people that we could possibly imagine. I'm so sorry, Judiciary Committee. Please accept my apology for what a big mistake I made. No, he just comes in pleasantly, smiles. No, it's all good. All's right with the world. And he has no clue how things are crumbling. But Mueller's got to go. But we do need a special counsel, and we do need one. So I've been saying this since May and June, that will investigate Mueller and his staff. This is serious stuff. Now it is blatant. We have got to have somebody investigating at least some of these people on Mueller's team for potential crimes themselves.
So, Congressman Gohmert, let me ask you this. Does Attorney General Jeff Sessions, does he have the authority to do exactly, sir, what you just said?
He does have that authority, but because he recused himself, it creates a special problem. Now, I think he could fire Mueller, and his recusal should not prevent him from doing that. But then you run into, Democrats screaming that that's another Saturday Night Massacre. I mean, for heaven's sake, they're already talking about that. And when Nixon fired the special counsel folks back when he was president, it was called the Saturday Night Massacre, he did not have a legitimate basis for firing anybody.
Right.
But boy, the bases are there now. I mean, holy cow! Not only, like I say, not only to fire them, but to have them investigated also. I mean, Comey was leaking information, and one of the questions I asked Rosenstein was, if you attend a meeting in furtherance of your job as FBI director, which is what he did in meeting with Trump, and you leave the meeting and type up a memo about that meeting, then that should be property of the U.S. government, property of the Department of Justice, and not something that you take with you. And as I read from the FBI employment agreement, you're not allowed to make that public. You're not allowed to take it with you. It is part of the government, and leaking that could very well be a crime. So Comey needs somebody to investigate him, and it can't be somebody that was all snuggled up in this Mueller-Comey debacle. They need investigation themselves by a special prosecutor, because I don't believe at this point you could find somebody that's worked in or around Washington with the DOJ that could be fair in really investigating Comey. I think you've got people across the country that are eminently fair that could do the job, but they just can't have anything but barely maybe said hello to Comey before they could properly investigate this guy.
So, Congressman Louie Gohmert, 1st District, Republican, Texas. So, appointing a special prosecutor to investigate Clinton, Comey, whatever's going on, that shouldn't have anything to do with the Attorney General recusing himself over another matter. So, why couldn't you guys just pick up the phone and say, look, Jeff Sessions, we want you to appoint a special prosecutor? I mean, I don't know what...
I've been saying that since June. And
why isn't he doing it?
I think the president could do that.
Yeah, just pick up the phone. And if he doesn't want to do it, you have to make a decision then, Congressman Gohmert. Maybe Attorney General Jeff Sessions is just not cut out for that job, and that happens. I mean, sometimes, people, I've had him on my show 25 times. He was a great senator on immigration.
And he's doing a great job on immigration. And by the way, the Attorney General appoints the immigration judges. I didn't know that until recent years when we were trying to fix the immigration law. I went, oh my gosh, I didn't even know the Attorney General appoints the immigration judges. Doesn't have to get them confirmed, just appoints them. And so I'm sure that when that was put in the law, people thought, now who would be the most pro-law enforcement, follow the law, guy that we could rule a law cop guy we could have? Oh, well, of course, the Attorney General.
Right.
Nobody ever dreamed we would have somebody that was as blatantly unfair, that would oversee, criminal activity like Fast and Furious and all of the mass problems that Eric Holder created. But then to think of him appointing judges that didn't have to have scrutiny from anybody else is a little scary. But with Jeff Sessions, he's great. Jeff's been a friend. We worked together with him as a senator on issues of border security and ending illegal immigration. So he's really done great on a number of areas. But just think about how the Democrats and the deep state set this thing up to create a new council. And while the Democrats have been colluding, Loretta Lynch, John, for heaven's sake, Loretta Lynch gave this Russian lobbyist woman that was so dirty, gave her special permission to come in the country so she could meet with Don Trump Jr. so they could use that and say, oh, see, the Trumps are so corrupt. And, of course, Don Jr., as soon as he was in the conversation for a matter of minutes, he went, this is ridiculous, and he got up and left. And then he ends up being grilled for 9 hours this week over a 20-minute conversation that was set up by the Democrats, including Loretta Lynch. I mean, she had to get involved just to get this lady in the country. And it was all obvious now. It was all a setup, just like that whole dossier thing, using the dossier, using the just the mere fact that Don Jr. met with this Russian lobbyist that was so cozy with the Democrats. I mean, this stuff stinks to high heaven. And if you take those, the democratically manipulated items away, then you have Jeff Sessions coming in, and he's not inhibited by all this garbage that is just fake news. He gets to go right in and start doing his job. But let me tell you, the thing that scares me, when we have moved people like General Kelly, he was doing fantastic at his short time at Homeland Security. He was getting rid of this countering violent extremism and saying, no, we're going after radical Islam. He moves over to being chief of staff at the White House, and we move in somebody that's all back into the countering violent extremism and not wanting to offend the people that are trying to kill us and destroy Western civilization. So, and then you look at K.T. McFarland. She is so sharp, especially on Middle Eastern issues, really on all world affairs. She gets fired by the McMaster's cabal, and they move in somebody that's all supportive of CARE and the radical Islamists, being all over in really critical positions in the country. So I'm getting kind of paranoid about anybody being removed and replaced with somebody from the deep state, because deep state is replacing many of the people that get removed.
Well, I tell you what, Congressman Louie Gohmert, you're spot on, and especially with our new Secretary of Homeland Security, or coming to that, because, she's an open plumb. Look, I've fought her on this immigration thing for years. Kirsten is an open borders, don't offend anybody.
Yep.
We've been fighting her forever. Now she ends up, in charge of Homeland Security. It is pretty scary what is going on. It's like we had an election and Jeb Bush won. That's basically what's going on here. Jeb won by default.
I thought Ryan Zinke had a great description for some of us. He became Secretary of Interior, and there are lots of deep state leftists in Interior. But Ryan said when he got to his office, he started meeting all these people he was going to have to work with. He said, I felt like I had just won my congressional election, and I got to my office and my opponent had hired everybody I had to work with. That's kind of the way it is all over the government. I thought Ryan put it pretty well.
I tell you what, I was at his Christmas party last evening. A lot of fun. He has the best office in Washington, Congressman Gohmert, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It is the nicest, coolest office I've ever seen. I'm out of time. I have to call Kimberly, get you on next week, because we never even got into the surveillance issue that we talked about on Wednesday night. Congressman, I got to have you back, but I'm out of time now. Thank you for your time, sir.
You bet.
Again, I want to thank Louie Gohmert for being with us. More information, gohmert.house.gov, Gohmert. This is the John Fredericks Radio Network.